the plastic covering, and I put Abiam bread. I repackage it. When you see it, you say, oh, maybe I know Helen's bread and how it tastes. But this is Abiam's bread. Maybe it has a secret ingredient in it. I think that was the whole concept. And to the extent that the FDA itself, which is now, I think, confused in trying to explain to us what has happened, they charged them a fine.
Indeed.
The people started paying the fine. At some point, they stopped.
That's right.
What was the fine for? Was it for repackaging without authorization? The FDA at this point should not now just be telling us that their rice is wholesome.
Especially when they themselves had earlier indicated that the rice had high fat content and also had some insects. Now we've got two different positions of the FDA. On one hand, reports indicated and signed by personnel of the FDA stating that the rice was unwholesome.
Yeah.
Then now we have another report from the same FDA saying the rice is wholesome. I am so confused.
The FDA, what the FDA can do to settle the confusion and doubt in people's minds is to say this is the report that we have as a country. We took the rice, we examined them, they are wholesome and fit for consumption. This is the report. Take it. Then everybody in Ghana knows that this is what FDA has done.
That's right.
Then some who are also experts in that field can pick samples of the rice and say, we are also going to check. And it is possible for them to be able to check to find.
But now, because of the amount of time that has passed, whether or not that same rice will be available now, which is the problem.
I'm sure they have eaten everything.
Even if we wanted to conduct any kind of medical assessment on the young ones, if anybody had been previously sick, this would have been months back.
Yeah.
It's not going to be detected today. So we've lost that opportunity to find out what kind of consequence this best before rice. Because, of course, on the one hand, we're also hearing a lot of explanations. It's as if we remove the human element out of it. I'm hearing the PRO of the Education Ministry talk about, best before versus expired rice. I mean, why are we now resorting to very technical jargon when we are talking about the health of young Ghanaians?
Yeah.
As soon as that posturing comes about, then you know something is amiss. When we start getting technical, oh, well, you know that best before the food was extended to April of this year. But many a times, you know that if you take consignment of food, it's not eaten all at once.
Yeah.
As at February, this rice was disbursed. How many schools will finish that within, shortest possible time? That rice could linger. Something that has already been extended, its shelf life extended. I mean, the jargon is getting plenty. We remove that human element from our conversations, and it's not looking good.
I'll take you back to 6 years ago when in the Upper West region, expired relief items, including expired rice, was distributed to persons who had been hit by a disaster. And Dr. Baumia led that delegation to deliver the expired items. Do you remember that?
NADMO says it was an accident.
No, I'm saying that expired rice, once upon a time, expired rice was delivered to persons who were hit by a disaster by no less a person. Kweku Kwatin just walked in and is walking out. So you won't do expired rice. Okay. Let's go on to the streets and hear from the people of the Republic of Ghana.
Ghana for no because bank account so back account to fa and come say omundi so bank account nti and to me fa I do come na de no so nya force say mo fa ade enkomado we mo say mo free education there about a year hiamwa efi mo by and yet sa kwan we so yam moa we nti so mu di na se bibi ye almost so Ghana so omo be ne day
school children that has been fed with the expired rice is very, very unfortunate situation. We don't need to allow this to continue in Ghana. All those involved must be brought to book. People must get rich by all means at the expense of school children's life.
92.7.
It's a very, very unfortunate situation. We don't need to allow this to happen in Ghana. All those people must be brought to book.
If the government cannot afford to feed our children, they should just stop the school feeding program. And then we will feed our children and they'll come to school. Because we can't afford to pay a lot of hospital bills and things. We can't afford. We can't make our children come to school knowing very healthy, and then you feed them poison, and then they come home, and then we have to even pay more than the fees and the food we are supposed to feed them. If you are giving us free education. If you can't feed, tell us we can't feed your children. They should come and learn for free, and we will feed our children to come to school. Please, government, don't kill our children.
Any fancy on Mudiko, a Janina saying, or thank for Mutu, and I thought Mudi come on board. Now Mudi coming in from with you know Yalia, and or the how close rather than a man. It's all my young, they still Mutu said,
Since my children were in school, they used to be calling me almost every day and complaining about food. Why? Because they say the food had expired and the food wasn't tasting good and the expiry dates and a whole lot. They were always complaining of stomach issues when they eat. So sometimes I wonder, don't the school authorities check the food before they prepare for the children? Like, my children have always been calling me every day I should send them money to buy food. Why? Because they can't eat food from the dining hall. Anytime they eat it, they get stomach upsets and a whole lot of issues. Why? I don't know what is wrong with this Ghana government. I'm frustrated right now. Like, why? Why can't they keep our children safe for us? This free SHS thing, they said free SHS, we thought we would benefit from it. And now look, food issues. I'm tired of this government. Why? What is this? Food. My children even told me that they were serving them food that was labeled as cocks only. Why should children be eating food labeled for cocks? No, this is not right. Something must be done about it. It needs to be done now, very urgently.
The best in the morning is on 92.7 Sunrise on 3FM.
Yes, I'm doing yet. Timemu for no one doing. I'm doing yet. Ghana for no one doing because I'm bank account. So I'm back on one. I'm to me fa and come on say Omundi. So I'm bank on one inti and I'm to me fa. I do come on. I didn't so in your force. Say more fa. I did and come a do. We will miss a free education there. About a year, yamwa if you momo by and yet Sakwan was when yamwa. This Omudi in as a BBA almost so.
School children that has been fed with the expired rice is a very, very unfortunate situation. We don't need to allow this to continue in Ghana. All those involved must be brought to book. People must get rich by all means at the expense of school children's life. It is a very, very unfortunate situation. We don't need to allow this to happen in Ghana. All those people must be brought to book.
If the government cannot afford to feed our children, they should just stop the school feeding program. And then we will feed our children and they'll come to school. Because we can't afford to pay a lot of hospital bills and things. We can't afford. We can't make our children come to school knowing very healthy, and then you feed them poison, and then they come home, and then we have to even pay more than the fees and the food we are supposed to feed them. If you are giving us free education. If you can't feed, tell us we can't feed your children. They should come and learn for free, and we will feed our children to come to school. Please, government, don't kill our children.
Any fancy on Mudiko, a Janina saying, or thank for Mutu, and I thought Mudi come on board. Now Mudi coming in from with you know Yalia, and or the how close rather than a man. It's all my young, they still Mutu said.
Since my children were in school, they used to be calling me almost every day and complaining about food. Why? Because they say the food had expired and the food wasn't tasting good and the expiry dates and a whole lot. They were always complaining of stomach issues when they eat. So sometimes I wonder, don't the school authorities check the food before they prepare for the children. Like, my children have always been calling me every day I should send them money to buy food. Why? Because they can't eat food from the dining hall. Anytime they eat it, they get stomach upsets and a whole lot of issues. Why? I don't know what is wrong with this Ghana government. I'm frustrated right now. Like, why? Why can't they keep our children safe for us? This free SHS thing, they said free SHS, we thought we would benefit from it. And now look, food issues. I'm tired of this government. Why? What is this? Food. My children even told me that they were serving them food that was labeled as cocks only. Why should children be eating food labeled for cocks? No, this is not.
And it's some 7 minutes to the top of the hour 9 here on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. My name is Johnny Hughes. Being joined in studio by 3 guests. Lawyer Godwin Kujo Duji Tamaklo, the head of the NDC's Legal Affairs Department. Kwesi Kwarteng speaks for the Ministry of Education. Courage Nobi is Deputy Director in charge of policy, the Movement for Change. Getting into some issues, and you can always join us on Facebook at 3FM927. Join the hashtag 3FM Sunrise. We have only 12 days to the big election. I'm sure the issues are engaging your mind. I'm sure your political parties are telling you what you need to know and learn. I'm sure if you don't belong to a political party and you're a floating voter, you're making up your mind what you want to do with your vote and your kokromoti, as it were. But 7 December is the appointed day. Who's it gonna be? 1 to 13? 1 to 12, because now Madam Ekriadonko is no longer there. But the Electoral Commission promised to do extensive public education. That extensive public education to let people know that number 3 is no more really has not been done. Safe to say that the Electoral Commission has been publishing public press releases. I've not had any editorials or educational materials. And we'll engage the Electoral Commission on that. 12 days to the election. How are rural folks being brought to the center? Is a question that must be asked. Gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for your time.
Good morning. Good morning, Rod.
From Dafa Franto, who is number 13.
Okay.
Number 13.
Number 13.
Yes.
But there are 12 people on the ballot.
No.
Yes.
There are 13 people, 1 deceased.
I like the clarity.
Yes, there are 13 people, 1 deceased.
I've always...
The man would have been disadvantaged.
I've always maintained that we have a very crucial election in the 2024. By Saturday, December the 7th, we are confident by 9 p.m. the results that will trickle in will show an overwhelming rebuke of this administration. It is always said, opposition don't win election. It is a government that loses the election. Listen carefully. The opposition don't win. It is the government that loses. This government had worked so hard to go to opposition.
I don't understand.
You are shocked.
No, I don't understand you.
This government had worked so hard in 8 years to go to opposition.
We'll come back to you to tell us how.
And I tell you quickly, never in the history of this country have you seen a government deliberately impoverish its own people like we have seen under the watch of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and Akufo-Addo.
Okay, thank you. I want to say good morning to Ernest Adomako Kion. He's the Member of Parliament aspirant on the ticket of the NDC in the Okaikwe South constituency. Kion, good morning and thank you very much for joining us here. Kwesi, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you too?
I'm greater than Accra.
My first comment would be that you see, for us, politically exposed individuals will look into your face and tell you that if NPP is in power, NDC they don't do anything, and of course, if NDC also is in power, they don't do anything. Yes, but certainly, for me, if you ask me, there are some things that we can be proud of, even though as a people we also need to take responsibility of certain things.
Right.
But certainly we are not where we used to be, even though we are also not where we have to be. There's been progress. And
there has been.
I mean, certainly. It depends on how where we say.
In 2023, the IEA says that all the indicators you inherited in 2016 have become worse.
You see, I'm not really a researcher. I mean, neither even am I, let's say, an economic person. But I know from the basis that when it comes to figures and indicators and variables, it depends on the interpretation that you want to play or run onto it.
This is the IEA.
I mean, certainly, I do not dispute them. I am yet to.
G-Men says IEA.
I am yet to see. I mean, the comment and the document which
this was in 2023,
and then probably if I have the full opportunity to look at it, then I can then speak to it. But until then,
I'm not inviting you to speak to it. I'm just giving you information.
Yeah, but certainly, when you give me such an information, it's also an invitation, directly or indirectly, for me to also peruse such a document.
Right.
Just like you sent a document to me on free SHS being free in 1963. I read it, but my first comment, I didn't get that impression. But of course, we can all read it to the public to see. So
that's why I read the full thing.
I mean, I'll finish reading, but we can all read for Ghanaians to know. So, I mean, such documents may always come about. Largely depends on the context. For instance, the free SSS in 1963. When, how, which form?
It was from primary to the university.
Wait time. I mean, which
free education.
Yes, free education.
Yeah.
But then the banner headline says secondary education.
And what was the content of it being free? They didn't include boarding or so.
I mean, the universities.
Even meals. Even at the university.
Yes,
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Allowances
for
university students. Medical students, I think, got 50. They called it 50 million.
Yeah.
And then other students got 33 million.
Because with that background, then there's no point for 1992 Constitution to say in the directive principles of state policy that secondary education shall be progressively free, blah blah blah.
And
because
even
if it was and even tertiary, if it was free, I'm not sure.
But that was the First Republic, which was toppled. There was a Second Republic, which was toppled. Third Republic, which was toppled.
Good.
So at the time when the 1992 Constitution was coming into force,
there was no free education.
It was a military.
There was no free education.
It was a military regime.
No, but there was no free education
before. It was a military regime.
No, before that there was no free education. You admit?
No, there was.
So when you say that free education was not started by Nanado, but it was started in 1960. I think context is very important.
I mean, you're looking at the totality of the Ghanaian history.
Yes.
And you cannot take away Nkrumah from Ghanaian history.
Oh, certainly. But
colossal.
And then you come back. Somebody even sent me, another senior listener of the show sent me and said that, look, in fact, let me read verbatim so that
when you finish, read the document too. The document that you sent, because I don't get that impression.
I've already read it. I'm coming.
No, you didn't read it. I was listening to you.
No, I read the whole document.
No, you read the first part.
No,
I was listening to you.
I read the first two parts. The first two paragraphs. I read the lead and the first part.
For the purpose of our listeners who are listening, who may be in doubt.
I'm coming. So this is from one senior. I don't want to put their names out there because I don't want them to be targets. Good morning, Johnny. Trust you are well. We used to call our allowance Bangla. This was in the mid-70s to early 80s. This was UST. That's KNUST at the time. And it arrived on time. This was what she said. And then another one says that, another senior citizen says that at university level, it was also free, including when Akufo-Addo was a student in Legon. We were paid allowances we called millions at Legon. Medical students received 50 million and other students received 33 million cedis. That was a term, and this one is a medical student at the time.
That's about 5,000 and 3,000.
Yes. Okay. So now let me read the document for the benefit. Sorry, I'll come to you. But Godwin, you listen to this one as well. Kwesi Kwarteng is contesting what it was. This is a January 13 document, 1963, right? I said September, I got it wrong there. Secondary education is free, social security for the people, and health services to be expanded. The final act in the fulfillment of the party's pledge to provide opportunities for education at all levels for all the people will be taking this year when school fees are abolished for secondary and technical schools. This will mean that as from the next academic year, children of workers and farmers will have the same opportunity as the children of richer parents to receive education from the primary to the university level. This was the highlight of the array of series of benefits, I'm sure, or useful.
This is a campaign promise.
No, it's not a campaign promise. It's captured in the Hansard, and it was budgeted for tomorrow. That's why I'm saying tomorrow I'll read the Hansard to share.
Yeah, but
don't me, I serialize myself. I don't. If I give you all today, what will I give you tomorrow?
No, but you see, Johnny. I mean, budgets are proposals. They are not necessarily what has happened. I can budget A and end up spending B. So.
What are you trying to explain?
No, I am saying that I was not happy when you attempted to discredit Mr. Akufo-Addo for introducing
free relax.
No, that was what
relax.
I was listening when I was
relax. Now there's another heading. There's increased allowance for students. In addition to making education free, Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah also proposed to increase the allowance for science students to a further a cash program for the production of science graduates who will implement our program of socialist industrialization and the mechanization of agriculture. Social security benefits are also proposed to be submitted to Parliament during the session to eliminate the hazard and difficulties that attend retirement and old age. Housing is also captured there, patriotic sacrifices, etc. Blah, 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 blah. Now, what is the point of disagreement in this one?
I'm not sure first of all, it's even a disagreement. First of all, I mean, clearly, from what you just read, these are proposals and pledges that the government is seeking to implement.
But the people who went through the period...
Oh, you asked me a question. You won't allow me to land before you ask another question. So, I mean, I will be glad if it turns out that such proposals and pledges were indeed fulfilled. But I mean, assuming even without admitting that education was free, then of course I have heard other, adults and grown-up men say that when they were even
it's difficult to imagine.
Yeah, when they were even investing, it was no. I'm not really sure it's even who takes the credit, who does not. Of course, Mr. Nkrumah is undisputable, probably the best leader this country has ever had. No two ways about that. And we all give him that recognition and respect. But context
you
is also
disagree with Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh
that
Nana Akufo-Addo is the best so far.
Why are you doing this?
I'm asking you.
Stop that.
He says don't set a trap.
No, there's no trap. I'm just only stating the facts as it were.
Stop this. Why Mr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh doesn't have his opinions?
It's Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh.
No, but from his submissions, he bases it on his own information that he is so informed as to know that.
So he has departed from Dr. Opoku-Prempeh. That's what I'm asking him to clarify from. He's a lawyer. He knows the essence of clarity in this one.
I was speaking in relation to a subject matter. I was speaking in relation to a subject matter.
That's fine.
Where I was doing an assessment based on my own views and opinions.
That's right.
But if you want to bring in that of the assessment of Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, I may have to also look at it within the holistic view.
You have to switch now.
Not that. But you see, for me,
you have to look at it again
in a holistic view.
Yeah.
Because the first fact that I was presented to Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh was not factored in.
Okay.
But I mean, for me, I believe that there are some people that are forerunners that we all give them that respect and recognition.
Right.
It's everywhere in the whole world. If you go to Kenya, Mr. Kenyatta. If you go to South Africa, you
Nelson
have
Mandela
and co. It may not necessarily mean that if you put data and science there, other leaders did not perform or outperform them. But bottom line is that they are institutions that we've created as a people to give recognition and respect. On that note, I will say that, yes, Dr. Nkrumah happens to be the best leader this country has ever had. But of course, if we want to do an academic debate, people may have different opinions and variations. But of course, in the interest of our own, national or corporate image, Mr. Nkrumah or Dr. Nkrumah happens to be, unarguably the best leader this country has ever had. It does not in any way disputing what Dr. Matthew Poku Prempe said, because I don't know the facts
he
upon which he
apologized
based.
for that statement anyway. So
The best in the
I don't know
morning
why you want to associate with a statement that was apologized for, which would mean that he withdrew it.
You see, we may be mixing the points. I don't know. You see,
don't pay attention to Courage. Pay attention to me.
Courage is my brother. He's a brother. I think he apologized on the tone and the interpretation that was read at that. I think
let's move away from it.
Let's move away from
I'm only supplying.
Don't supply information.
Most important thing is that when I was listening to you, and like I indicated, premise and context is always very important.
92.
I was not in the car alone. I had picked a friend and we're coming together.
Right.
And the understanding that we all had was that this was an attempt by your good self to discredit Mr. Akufo-Addo from introducing the free SHS, because you could have also put it in a way that, well, free SHS or secondary education, or even education was free at some point, which was spearheaded by Mr. Nkrumah. But
which he benefited from. That I mentioned that too, because at the time when he was in school, and my father was a year ahead of.
You mean the young pioneer?
When he was at the secondary school here, what's the name?
Kimbo. It was called Road.
Oh, yeah. Okay. It was not Kimbo.
No. You mean the Young Pioneers member, now President Akufo-Addo?
Okay, you are getting into uncharted waters.
No,
it's okay.
No, as a young person, you was part of the Young Pioneers.
So my father is a year ahead of.
And your father is a beneficiary of
President Akufo-Addo. Exactly, President Akufo-Addo and President Mills, right? They attended government boys' school. That's President Akufo-Addo and my father, and then President Akufo-Addo went to Road. My father went to Kateko, and then they found themselves in Legon. In Legon, actually, if I spoke with the Ahoy brothers, I interviewed all the 8 of them with their sisters when they authored their book. And Mr. Ato Ahoy, who's a contemporary of Nana Akufo-Addo, said that at the time at Legon, when they were both sportsmen playing football, hockey, blah, 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 they enjoyed all the benefits that today been spoken about: allowances, free accommodation, free food. In fact, they used to have free lunch, free breakfast, free supper, and snack at 4 p.m. every day, right? And on Wednesdays, every Wednesday, they had a 4-course dinner, 3-course dinner. That's where the term academic pompo comes from. Then they have authored, they put it in their book. I don't think that they want to dent their images by putting stuff that are not there.
No, I mean,
and many other people.
I'm excited to hear this.
So now the conversation.
No, I'm coming. I'm excited.
So now the conversation is that back then, if you look at what was provided then, and we will say that for the first time in Ghana's history, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is the first to have presented it. I'm saying that, I'm going back into the archives to say that it was then. In the 70s and 80s, Nana Addo was not in power. In the 70s and 80s, Dr. Nkrumah was not in power. But then, as another senior citizen has also sent me that they used to receive allowances just for being in school. So then you find that consistently and over time, these interventions have been done. So then for us to give it to just one president to say that he started, because that's the communication out there.
I think that is where the issue comes in, how some of these things are communicated. For example, I've always been aware that based on the Accelerated Educational Development Plan of 1952,
right,
the time Nkrumah became leader of government business.
That's right.
So if you check, most of the secondary schools have the same building plan. It was part of that plan.
Right.
And it was after that robust infrastructure had been put in place that by 63, that is 10 years later, they now moved to make access to secondary education free.
Right.
You know, so I don't think
so. The concept of maybe STEM schools now and how they look, V blocks, how they look, E blocks, how they look. Okay.
The difference
so it follows the policy.
There's nothing new under the sun.
Right.
No, wait. I'm saying that the difference in President Nkrumah and President Akufo-Addo is the approach to the implementation.
Right.
That one believed that, you know what, let's put the infrastructure in place and then now bring the policy so that people can get it. But due to the peculiarities also of the time now,
right,
where even data was a problem, we thought, okay, push everybody in. When they are now, you now get to know the real nature of the deficit in infrastructure. Right. Then you now put it up and all that. So I don't think it will be right for anybody to say that President Akufo-Addo is the free SHS is a novel policy.
Right.
However,
He's the father of free SHS.
No, he has in the Fourth Republic implemented it.
Right. So then you can contextualize it and say it in that manner.
But before the Fourth Republic, in fact, and the reason why he had to come and do it now was because we had degenerated from Kwame Nkrumah after 66 coup. By 1992, we had so gone backward that it had to become a new aspiration in our now constitution, 1992, which it took up to 2017 September for it to be given meaning. We are still waiting for the further aspiration of the constitution that tertiary education should also become free. You know, but
which in the past was also free.
So we are trying to recover
what we derailed from.
Exactly.
I get you.
Which we once had from
Eduji, this expired rice thing, I'm sure you've heard the response of the Food and Drugs Authority.
I was on the floor before he came in because I was landing.
You want to? Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, you see, if not for the fact that you want to water down the impact of for this I'm not sure this conversation
with all the context that I've been giving to you, you still are sticking to your watering down thing.
Because from the logic of the context that you set, you shouldn't find problem with Founders Day, because after all, it wasn't only Dr. Nkrumah who brought independence. There were also other people.
I have a different concept of Founders Day. Don't go there. Don't go there.
No, you see, per the logic that other people also played a role, other people played part. Per that logic, then
President Kufuor is not the
implementer of free SHS. Free SHS was there before Kufuor.
No, Napo played a part. Edushmi playing. You are playing a part.
But you think that independence only Dr. Nkrumah
that's
was the one who brought it?
We cannot, if we don't credit Nkrumah for independence, then we cannot credit President Kufuor.
Exactly. That's the logic that he was trying to advance in his
earlier.
Which is the
President Kufuor logic, not us.
No.
Apia Shosho and all of that in his speech.
Ashikishan.
From this, then nobody brought anything because there is nothing under the sun. I mean, you can even
question the president's logic.
From the narration that you are giving, people should be giving credit for what they've done, what they've pioneered, what they spearheaded. Right. People should be giving credit for that.
Why are we not talking about Dr. Nkrumah and saying, but we're giving all the credit to President Kufuor as if this has never happened in the country before? Yeah. Because somebody who was born in 1992, somebody who was born in 2001, if they don't take the pain to go and read what we have read and know, they would believe what is being fed to them on a daily basis that
since independence
is only Kufuor who has brought free SHS.
I don't understand you because from your logic, if I construct road, you see, governance is a continuous process. It's not an event.
Right.
From your logic, if, for instance, Mr. Mahama constructed the
from the facts, not my logic.
No, but of course, your logic has to be, have to be conceptualized. Then we shouldn't even attribute Circle Dubai to anyone. We shouldn't attribute anything in this country to anyone. No, because some way, somehow, somebody had done some before.
No, but that's different.
What is different?
Wait. It is Kwame Nkrumah built Accra to motorway. Concrete,
it is so unfair.
Carried motorway, right? If today, right, President Kufuor.
But have you seen that Kweku has a strategy?
My name is Kwesi.
Sorry, Kwesi.
Don't pretend you don't know my name.
No, he's not derailing. I don't mind him.
There's a strategy to ensure we don't discuss the rice.
No, we'll discuss the rice issue.
But we'll discuss it.
No. As for the rice, he has landed. We'll discuss the rice. Eduji.
That's why I will encourage you that.
Eduji.
Be careful.
Eduji.
This one is a Trojan.
Eduji. So he has landed. He wanted to land. He has landed.
No, let me tell you.
No. I understand you. Now let me ask you this.
Kwesi, I understand.
No, don't invite him.
In PR, the more you confuse the issue, sometimes the better.
No. Me too. I have a PR background, so you can't convince. That's why I wanted to come to you.
I want us to be focused.
Yes, but
focus on Moshosho.
So Eduji.
This man now wants to be the host.
So Eduji
now wants to play the host.
Eduji
and now force you to act based on what he wants.
No. Eduji.
Then you moderate.
Into thinking that
you moderate.
It won't work.
You need to firm up. No, you need to firm up.
Kwesi.
No, but you need to firm up.
Kwesi. the first question I asked was about, even before you said that, was about the rice.
I mean, it's good for us.
Slow down, allow me. And then this whole, you brought in this whole thing. We have finished it.
Yeah.
I wanted
and
to
we
move.
spent the bulk of the time.
Hold on. I wanted to go to Eduji on the rice thing, and then you said you are not finished. And I was only being fair to you to allow you to finish, and now you say Eduji is dictating. you see what you are doing. Eduji, I'm sure you have heard the FDA and what they have said about the expired rice fed to our children in school. What do you think?
You know, this morning I am very sad when this issue came up. I'm particularly sad.
Why?
I am sad because look, we have a situation where our brothers and sisters, our kids, have been fed with food that is obviously expired. And one would expect that the people who, by law, are supposed to act in locus parentis have now reneged on that responsibility and possibly wants to gaslight we, the victims, as though we brought it onto ourselves. I feel scandalized, but I am not also surprised. And the reason is simple. You see, the MPP had decided that free SHS was going to be the core conversation for the 2024 election. So when in December...
When did they decide that?
I'm coming there. I mean, I'm a politician.
Right.
I can tell... Look, I remember in the U.S. election, the exit polls, people who voted for Kamala Harris, when they were questioned, they said they voted, the bulk of the people who voted for her said they voted because of democracy.
Right.
The bulk of the people who voted for Donald Trump also said they voted because of the economy. Now, the MPP in the 2024 election, having been consulted, decided that the economy will not favor them. Obviously, it would be insane for the MPP to, as it were, campaign on the economy. So, the living condition. As it namunsem. So what they have decided to do instead is to campaign on free SHS. And so if you look at all their campaign, the bulk of the campaign advert is vote for us to protect free SHS. Right. So that is how they have shaped their political conversation. But the point I want to make is that having realized that the central theme of their 2024 campaign was going to be on free SHS, when in December 2023 this issue came up, they were motivated to conceal the details because of the fear that any knowledge that school children were fed, were contaminated with unwholesome, with expired rice, with rice whose best before had been shifted like shifting cultivation as practiced, will create huge scandal and upheaval. Ghanaians will be so upset. This morning, look, Johnny, I heard you play the voices of Ghanaians on the street of Ghana.
Right.
And there was no one person who even justified the rice that was given to our children. It was overwhelming condemnation. So government felt that if this matter had come even much earlier before the election, it was going to drown any conversation on free SHS, and therefore decided to conceal the details, the sordid details, how in a very murderous way our children have been fed with. And I'll tell you something. You see, Johnny, where you are now, you go and buy Coke.
Right.
Then you see Pepsi Cola label around it. So you came home with the expectation that you were coming to drink Coke. Now you know, with the expectation that it was Pepsi.
Let's
Cola.
use beverage A and B.
Beverage A and B, sorry. Then you took it, then you, no. This is not what I ordered for. That's exactly what happened in this particular instance. You see, that's what happened in this particular instance. And you see, why I feel scandalous is that one would expect that government officials will be condemning this, but they are rather defending
The
it.
chief of staff says it's propaganda.
Look,
That Ablakwa is engaged.
I feel so scandalous. Auntie Fremont Parry, when I was in Legon, she was the MP.
Right, for Ayawase West Wugon.
Yes, when I was in Legon, she was the MP. In fact, she has a daughter that I know very well, Martha.
Right.
And so by extension, she's somebody that would she give any of her children food that has no expiring date on it?
The FDA says best before.
I beg you.
And expiry date are totally different
I'll
things.
deal with that. I'll deal with that. Now, Johnny, I ask you a simple question, and I wish this gets to Madame Fremont Parry. I think she should be bowing down her head in shame.
Why?
She's a mother. Mothers don't do that. She had allowed politics to cloud her. At 75 years, right? She's 75.
Right.
At 75 years, what does she want if she can't tell the truth? I wish somebody would cut this portion of my submission to her. That I, Eduji Kujo Tamaklo, on this platform, I am asking her, what would it benefit her at 75 years?
92.7.
That she can't tell the truth. There is enough documentary evidence to show that one, the place where the rape bagging was done is not licensed.
That's PRESEC.
Yes, it's not licensed. Two, there is documentary evidence overwhelming that in Ashanti region, they were doing this rape bagging. Now, I want to ask Madame Fremont Parry, why would anybody bring rice from India, labeled it Moshosho? Then when it is clear that the rice has lost its efficacy and its acidity had gone so high, now the person will now move the rice from the original label of Moshosho rice to now Sidao ECOWAS. I want to ask Madame Fremont Parry. Sebi. In a way, there is a saying that women or Kevin or Odo.
Translate.
Good. You don't price a cat that is hidden from you.
Must it always be about a cat?
Yes. Yes. That you don't price, you don't negotiate for something that you have not seen.
Right.
And the reason why you need to see the thing is that so you can appreciate what exactly you are negotiating for. I dare say, and I dare ask, Chief of Staff, Madame Fremont Parry, when you go to buy anything from the shop, don't you look for the best before? Don't you look for the expiring dates? The reason why you look for those things is to test for what? Efficacy.
Maybe Madame doesn't go to the market anymore. The people who go to the
She's
market.
a mother.
For her.
She's a mother. So her appreciation of these issues should even be more thorough.
Okay.
And sensitive. Her comment showed that she had demonstrated a high level of insensitivity to this issue that goes to the core of the well-being of our children, her grandchildren. No, she no longer have kids in secondary school. At best, they will be her grandchildren. And so, if she will look at this and rather play politics with it, it is painful. It should not be encouraged. I have listened to MPP commentators.
Wrap up for me.
Yes, I will. MPP commentators say that, oh, the food was wholesome. Now, first of all, if you are rebagging something. And I've also heard them say that, headmasters never complain. With the greatest respect, Johnny, with the greatest respect. If food that is called moshosho, it's now called sidao, repackaged, when you were not there, what would be the basis of your complaint?
Thank you very much. Kwesi Kwatin, this matter is back on the front burner. I thought that the FD had settled this matter, but it looks like people don't want the matter to go away.
It doesn't look like it's because you want to discuss it, but we will discuss it. Let's proceed.
It's not about me.
No, it's because your outlet wants to discuss it.
Parents are now raising concerns. Parents who were silent and quiet in the last 2 weeks are now raising concerns and asking.
I'm saying
now,
that,
what is the ministry's position on this
I'm saying
matter?
that whichever way, it's on the table for discussion.
Right.
And you see, I think it was Hitler who put it in a very profound way, that with the constant propagation of lies, even heaven can be made to look like hell.
It's Joseph Goebbels.
It's Joseph
Goebbels. He worked with Hitler.
Yeah, very well. Thank you. And hell can also be made to look like heaven. I see a situation that is quite complex, and that is also very sensitive. And no matter how you want to discuss it, particularly when it's not discussed in a very dispassionate manner, you will be seen coming from an angle of insensitivity and defending government, especially when you find yourself in the position communicating for government. But that will crave everybody's indulgence. That yes, ultimately we also have to talk about it. So we have to also discuss it within an impassionate or dispassionate point of reference, so that we will not be mixing the facts at the end of the day. Because for me, in as much as there are, fundamental issues that has to be looked at, I am also of the view that the Honorable Ablakwa, who brought the matter himself, has been exploiting the situation to advance. How? I'm coming there. Has been exploiting the situation to advance. The political interests of himself and his political party.
Right.
The reason is that, like I indicated, it's a very sensitive issue, because when you talk about food, health and safety and the well-being of parents,
right.
Certainly of children, parents will be a bit alarmed, concerned and aggravated.
Right.
And I see he using that as a basis of blackmail to get parents to dislike or create some discontent for the whole free SHS policy and its implementation. You see, let me put it on record that the Ministry of Education does not have any interest in protecting a third-party company that engages in irregularity. If you look at the how ministry works in terms of food supplies and other things, Ministry of Education themselves, of course, let me issue this caveat that is not in any way run away from responsibility. Ultimately, the ministry still takes final responsibility.
That the rice was rebacked.
Let me land. Okay. Ultimately, the ministry will still take a final responsibility so far as all these issues are concerned. But if you look at how the ministry works, of course, with these partners and agencies, the ministry itself does not distribute food to school.
Okay.
That work is done by two companies, GCX and Buffer Stock Company.
Right.
Buffer Stock, of course, unlike buffer stock companies like the one we have in America, where they have the capacity to buy a lot of food and stock, they do not have the capacity yet. So mostly they also rely on third-party companies and send 70% of foods to schools. And of course, the remaining 30% of food is also sent to the teachers, through physical cash,
right,
so that they are able to purchase perishable food items. In this particular circumstance, of course, we are all aware of, what allegedly has happened. I wanted to correct it, that it is not a case of expired rice.
But whether was the rice rebagged?
I'm coming there.
I've asked you 2 times. You were coming there. I need us to set the ground rules, and then we can get to whether or not it was expired or not expired.
I'm not sure. My presentation should be boxed. Ultimately, at the end of the day,
I'm asking you a question. Was the rice rebagged? from Moshosho to Sidao.
You see, I mean, I've been doing this for some.
To clarify.
No, I don't think we should do this here. Because you had about 20 minutes. I even stepped out.
They didn't have 20 minutes. How long is the program, please? I beg you. Stop
how
this.
Long did he speak?
Stop this.
How long?
Stop this.
No, how long did he speak?
But you are not answering my questions. He was answering my questions. You are not even answering. You have so far done preamble.
You ask a question. You keep interjecting. Let me answer you so that we're able to.
But you have not answered the question. You're only telling me that preamble.
Can't I lay a foundation to answer your questions?
Now I think that
can't I lay a foundation to answer your questions?
You have taken 6 minutes to lay a foundation.
Then let me get up and go. We are not in court where I am compelled to answer a question the way even you like. Even in that case, even under cross-examination, I mean, whoever is in the witness box has the right to answer the question.
Public want answers.
The public want answers. If you had stopped this, I would have answered you. But don't box me in within a context. I have to lay a foundation.
Okay.
You cannot ask questions where, of course, before coming, I listened to you.
Okay.
When the foundation has been laid as though.
So you came here with a prejudiced mind.
Not when I came here with a mindset to correct what you've already done. Okay. So it's important I lay that foundation.
So that's why I'm helping you.
Exactly. So let me finish. So
was the rice rebagged from Moshosho to Sidao?
I think that is a public knowledge. I don't have to confirm or.
Yes.
No, that is a public knowledge.
No, I'm asking you.
It's a public knowledge. I'm not the one to do your research for. It's a public knowledge.
No, I'm asking you as the PRO of the Ministry of Education. Was the rice rebagged from Moshosho to Sidao?
It's a public knowledge. If you don't allow me to lay my foundation, there is no point I'm going to give you your yes and no answer. It's a public knowledge. Everybody knows the position of
evasive witness.
Evasive witness in what?
Oh, I beg you, please, let's not do this.
Evasive witness in what?
Okay. Let's go ahead. Go ahead.
That's why I said that it's a very passionate issue. So when we ask questions from a very prejudiced point of view and make questions, we structure questions in a judgmental way, that in any way will not solicit.
Was the rice rebaggage is judgmental, is prejudiced?
Can I?
But you're accusing me. You keep accusing me, and you don't want me to explain myself.
I don't think I.
It's a communication strategy, and you know it.
Kwesi, I think you are not being fair because so far I've asked you 4 questions. You have not answered any of the questions.
Kwesi
you are my brother.
Wants to intimidate you, to cow you.
I'm coming, please. I'm coming. Kwesi, you are my brother. When we have conversations, we don't do this outside. You can't do this in the studio. We have limited time. So far you have spoken for 6 minutes. You have not answered the question except to tell me that the ministry will take responsibility. Is a very serious, sensitive matter, blah blah blah.
Hughes, I am not allowed to lay a foundation to answer your question. It's not a public knowledge when it comes to the rice being rebagged. But if I don't lay a foundation, how will I be able to explain in a context that will make ordinary
say what you want to say?
Yes, the rice was rebagged. Okay. Can I then proceed to
go ahead now? Thank you. Thank you for answering my question.
Can I then explain?
Go ahead.
Very well.
Thank you.
Go
ahead.
So, Buffer Stock engaged a third-party company to supply rice to schools.
Right.
11,000 tons of rice or so. Of course, for my initial finding. And you see, I want to issue this caveat. Any finding that the ministry put out there is not in any way mounting a defense of any entity, being it the company or Buffer Stock, because even simplicity, Buffer Stock is not even under Ministry of Education, it's rather under Ministry of Agric.
That's right.
Lamen's company had imported rice. Up till December 2023, the rice was close to its best before date. So Lamen's then wrote to Food and Drugs Authority that the rice from their own findings is still wholesome and safe and can be consumed. FDA said no. You are unable to make that determination, neither even us. But before we are able to make a determination upon which we can then make a basis, then extend the best before date. Remember, best before date is not the same as expiry date, at least for the purpose of education.
That's what the FDA has said.
No, I mean, it's a basic knowledge.
I'll yield to the FDA.
That
best before and expired. So
FDA use best before, but I'm saying that best before is not the same as expired date. You are also a researcher, you can read about it. So the company had applied to FDA to extend the best before date. FDA then requested that the company has to go through some existing protocols within the FDA framework upon which they can base on that to make a determination on whether or not they are extending the best before date, which included laboratory tests on the rice samples. So, I mean, I understand FDA said in their own framework of work, it has to go to the manufacturing companies, a country, then before they're able to run all those tests, and after that, FDA will then evaluate the test results, and also have their own internal. Of course, I don't work with FDA, so I'm sure they will be able to give better and further particulars to that.
Right.
So after their evaluation and their own internal testing, whatever, or going through their protocols, FDA then extended the best before date for another 4 months. You see, Council.
Go ahead.
As I sit here and speak, I have declined all invitations to come and speak on this matter again, especially when, as soon as any finding we put out there is made to look like the ministry is coming out with a defense. This is what transpired. Okay. This is not the position of the ministry.
Right.
This is what transpired.
From FDA.
From FDA, from Laments, from buffer stock. That's what transpired between them.
Would you feel more comfortable speaking to this issue and not coming across as being a defensive ministry if the FDA had put out the detail of the test that they conducted?
It's a public document. I can share with you even right now.
They have shared every single document?
Yes, I have all of them with you.
Okay.
When the company applied, I'll share with you right after this presentation so they can read.
Right.
When the company applied, initially FDA said they won't grant unless they run this number of tests. I think they ran about 3 tests.
Right.
And based on that test, FDA then extended. Then later...
So the test results are out there?
Yes, they are all out.
Okay.
I'm going to share with you. They are, even though...
Kindly share with me
I'm
now.
going to share with you
that we can put it up there for our listeners to also have a view of it. No, it's not your turn. It's not your turn. If I will yield to anybody, I yield to courage, not you. Yes, but not you.
But the issue is even shared. It's even shared. Let me proceed.
It's shared.
It's even shared. Let me proceed.
Thank you. Kwesi, go ahead. It's shared. Thank you. Kwesi, I appreciate it. It's okay. It's okay. No. He has not intimidated me. I'm just being. Both of you are trying to do that. I'm too.
No, he's too tough to be blackmailed. He's
go ahead.
And based on our findings, we also got to know that after that, after the extension of the best before date, the company wrote to FDA that they want to repackage the rice. FDA did not grant them the approval. What the FDA said was that they are supposed to send the bags of rice in their original best before date and attach the FDA's approval documents, of which the company did not do same. On that basis, even FDA went ahead to even charge the company for breaching some portions of their regulations in accordance with, of course, not them getting the final approval to be able to repackage the rice. So that is what the company was punished or charged for the repackaging, not the wholesomeness of the rice, because that one they had run the laboratory test and FDA had made that determination.
But when they repackaged the rice, was it approved? Was it licensed?
No, from the FDA said no. They didn't have the authorization, the place. That's why FDA even went ahead to find.
But as a ministry, if somebody is supplying rice to you from a third party's point of view, and all these questions are coming up, don't you think you should be worried?
You see. First of all, like that's what I'm saying. I gave the earlier explanation that in terms of even the food distribution and supplies arrangement, the ministry is not, directly involved into it. So if, for instance, anything even happened which may be contrary to law or regulations, obviously it was done at the blind side of the ministry. Of course, that's why there are also state institutions like the FDA who are responsible for that portions of the work before they certify that the foods can be sent to our school. So when the issue happened, what our interest as a ministry was to quickly find out, of course, beyond the findings by the company, from buffer stock, the most important issue that we had to find out is whether or not the food was wholesome.
Would you eat that food?
Why not? If FDA declares that the food is wholesome.
Okay.
Unless, of course, we don't trust FDA. You see, that's why I find a problem with my friend from the NDC and Mr. Blackwell. Now, on one side, the same FDA document, you are able to rely on the portion where FDA had based upon to charge the company
to pay some money.
You want to rely on that. But the same FDA said that the food that we cleared to be supplied to the schools are wholesome. On that basis, you do not want to allow.
Now, parents are asking questions that what else could have been fed to our children which is not wholesome?
I don't understand.
What other things could have been fed to the children? This is rice, rebaggaged or repacked without FDA approval, etc. It's brought a lot of conversation. What else could have been fed our children which may not have been wholesome?
Again, that's why I will remind ourselves that we have to ask questions that are not anchored on prejudice. The facts are there. The facts are that
if I'm a parent and I'm asking that, hey, they have given my child expired rice. It's in the public domain.
You are.
So now I'm asking.
Alleged expired rice. As a journalist, you are also responsible to tell the parent that based on FDA's finding, and the FDA had already given them approval that the food was not expired. So when that's why
would the ministry, for example, allow for another lab aside the FDA to pick samples of the rice if available?
FDA did not even contact the lab based on the letter that I shared with you, where you can read it for the public. FDA did not because
can we put the letters up, please?
Per FDA's own internal protocols, of course, which is stated in the letter, they don't do the lab themselves.
Okay.
The lab tests have to be conducted in the manufacturer's company.
Right.
And based on the lab tests, FDA will then do own its verification and then benchmark it with their own internal protocols before they are able to make.
So the verification means that they will go through the FDA's lab as well.
No, the verification of the lab results. It's just like when you go to hospital, right? And you complain of, let's say, chest pains or any other, body abnormality or disorder. Then the doctor asks you to go to, any private laboratory and go and conduct a test. And after the test, that is where the doctor will base on that test to make, diagnosis. And of course, give prescriptions of drugs, take A, take B. We can relate it to a similar thing. That in this case, FDA requested that they go to the manufacturer's company, conduct a test.
Those who gave us the supposed expired rice are the same people who are asked to investigate themselves and verify. I find this troubling.
Who said who gave expired rice?
The rice is from Moshosho, repackaged to Sidao, West ECOWAS or West Africa. Now, Okujato raises the concerns. We are told that, the matter went to FDA. FDA says, take it back to Moshosho to verify if the rice that they gave us is correct or not.
Is that the understanding that you had? No, that's not the understanding. That's why I'm saying that let's read the documents and understand, discuss it dispassionately. Moshosho had written a letter to FDA for extension. FDA said, before we are able to extend the best before date, we will need to carry out this test, this number of tests, to be able to make a determination whether the food
and they sent it back to Moshosho.
No, there's no Moshosho. Moshosho doesn't run a test. Moshosho would then have to take it to India,
where they bought it from,
where the rice is coming from, and after that, based on the test results, FDA would then have to verify from the Indian authorities. India also have their own FDA.
I hear you. It's more confusing than I thought. Courage.
No, it's because you want to misunderstand. No, that is not more confusing. How is this confusing? How is this confusing?
No, you see, I think.
How is this confusing?
Let's be fair to Courage. At this point, let's be fair to Courage. Let's be fair to Courage. It's okay.
You're giving him all the
I'm not interested in discussing this matter again because we already have your position. I have to leave.
It's okay. Kwesi, are you walking away?
I have to leave.
Why are you leaving?
No, I think we will continue. We will continue. Courage. I think it's your time. I need to.
Amazing. Kwesi is angry. Kwesi Kwati is angry. Yeah.
Because you see, Johnny,
it's okay.
Johnny, you see, you like under this particular thing, you were just romanticizing the matter, and you were pampering my brother Kwesi. Listen,
but he's angry. Then I asked him questions.
No. Listen, at the core of this matter,
you allow Courage.
No, Courage will come in.
No. Let him come in. Let's be fair to him.
Rice from India, originally packaged as Moshosho rice, in a very criminal manner. This rice is changed from Moshosho to Sidao ECOWAS. And you want to pamper this conversation. How are you going to do this?
He stepped out.
Do you know why?
Courage, what do you think? It's okay. Your mic is off. Courage, what do you think? Courage, what do you think?
I have
We are not angry enough.
It's okay.
I've been worried since this issue came up. And the posture
The best in the morning is
people
on
who speak
92.7 Sunrise on
for the government.
3FM.
You know, when we cede off part of our sovereignty as citizens to a government, for the government to use that in the name of authority to manage our affairs, so that we all get certain common goods. We call them social goods. Part of which is that we are able to build schools, and that's why individuals don't build their own schools for their own children.
Right.
And then we entrust the government to oversee these young ones, that the conditions that they are sleeping in, the food that they eat, and all the supplies that they receive at that level is as I would do for my children as a parent if they were in my house.
Right.
We call it quasi-parental role.
3FM.
So when we hear that the government has procured rice that is expired,
And
the government has distributed that rice,
expired rice,
to the young people who are the future of this nation for them to eat. 22,000 bags for them to eat. It's nothing short of criminal. It is criminal. The government
says you are
has sent
overstretching this matter.
The government
that's why he walked away.
The government has given part of that authority we have reposed in them to an institution called Food and Drug Authority.
Right.
Not a commission, not anything but authority. It means that they have the right to sanction. Food and Drug Authority, in its own letter to the institution, says that one, you are bagging rice, you are repackaging rice without approval. Two, in a facility that is not designated for it, it is unlicensed. It is possible that there were feces in the facility. It is possible that there were rats and rodents in the facility, and all imaginations. Three, that there was no Food and Drugs Authority official supervising. What it means is that even the ones that they sanction, they must be present to supervise. All of this are contrary to what the law says ought to be done in a country. And government officials are not scandalized by this. This blatant abuse of the law.
Kwesi says you are trying to put propaganda and you have made your positions.
Propaganda? And that's the point I don't get. The ministry should by this time be angry.
But that's why the minister's representatives angry and walked away from the studio.
Should be
angry with you.
With you for asking questions.
I'm so shocked.
They should be angry that young people, the children are eating.
Meanwhile, on this platform, on this subject matter, he had more time allocated to him. And my understanding is that the benefit of this time
to give us the answers.
All the details. In fact, they even told us sometime, and I doubt that, that the matter has been investigated. I have asked, who is investigating? Within what timeline? With what terms of reference?
Right.
Who? And we want to think that this is, see, Johnny, for what reason? For what reason at all? That me, as a businessman, I import rice. The rice is wholesome. There's nothing wrong with it. Then I decide that I will spend money, incur cost to rebag it.
Witchcraft.
That I want to incur cost to rebag it. And even in doing that, I don't go through the laid down procedures of law. That there's nothing wrong with it. How can one think like this?
You see, Johnny.
How can one think like, what it means is that this Lamens company should by this time have been blacklisted. Their managers picked up by the police. And there should be a thorough investigation by this time where the schools that were supplied, the people go, the investigators go there, check the sick bay, check the books. How many children during the period they were fed this rice visited the sick bay? How many cases had to be referred to the health facilities in the neighborhood and all, so that we can establish something, so that if there are long-term effects of poisoning our kids, we'll begin to take steps as a society to take care of them.
The NPP of the Baumia campaign says, look, wait, when Dr. Baumia becomes president,
I don't want to hear it.
Relax. We will have to investigate, do this, what you're talking about.
Because Baumia was aware.
He was aware.
28th December, when the FDA first reported this, as the chairman of the police council, remember that this started with the police in Kumasi. As the chair of the police council, all these key individuals were fully briefed. However, like I told you, they had already purposed that Free SHS was going to be the central campaign message, and therefore felt that if the details, the sordid details of this rice scandal comes out, it was going to undermine the Free SHS campaign. and therefore decided to conceal the details. Now listen to the logic.
But how do these people then get the moral right to
now
tell
to
us
say,
that we are politicizing it?
So I'm coming in, and they
now turn around and say that we are those politicizing the matter.
There's even something even interesting. The FDA letter purportedly clearing the food is in February 15th.
From December,
February. By which time on the 4th of February, the food has been distributed to the
already.
schools. Two, even more critical, look at the timelines.
You extend after the distribution.
The rebagging, the repackaging was done in December.
Right.
The FDA letter came in February. By which time the food has been distributed.
And maybe chopped already, eaten already.
Even more important question that we should all be looking at is,
best in the morning,
Johnny, with the greatest respect, if right now I take a chicken and I remove the feathers and I bring it to you to identify what kind of bird is it, would you be able to do it?
My grandmother will call me stupid if I do that.
No, but wait too. What if
my grandmother will call me stupid if I do that?
But if I pick a vulture, chop off the head, defeather it, and also present it to you as chicken, can you tell it's a vulture?
My grandmother will call me stupid if I do that.
But you can in this case, Moshosho rice, which is the vulture without a head, has been presented to you
as a chicken,
as a dhow. And you've accepted it
as chicken,
and now you are being blamed. Now, why did you accept this chicken? Why didn't you know that
headmaster should have rejected it?
I'm trying to understand.
Look, you see, Ghanaians are not angry enough. And so the people who have created this scandal, who have decided to feed our children, and I want to ask Frema Opare, Madam Frema, would you feed your children?
No, but do you know why Madam Frema
would you feed my own colleague, Lawyer Martha, with food that has no best before no expiring date? Two, would you feed your children with food that came from India under the name Moshosho, and now the origin has been changed into Ghana and the name changed into Sidao ECOWAS? Madam, would you do that? Dr. Mahamudu Bamia, Nanado Danko Ekufuado, which of your children would you feed with this?
I hear you.
You see, John Mahama has something to say on this, and let me quickly, in 30 seconds. My brother carry.
No, it's actually
30 seconds. The carriage you can. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
So listen, I'm watching. This is a sports watch, by
you
the
see,
way. So
one of the things John Mahama has said on the campaign trail is that, listen, this whole centrality of procurement for secondary education, that is what is creating these scandals. And that if you allow secondary schools to procure their food items within the catchment area, what it does, one, is to grow the local economy. Two, more importantly, it prevents this mass poisoning of our children.
Thank you.
Because then you not have the same person supplying food for Presec, supplying food for Krobodumasi Secondary School.
Thank you. I think your point is well encouraged. Let's wrap up the conversation. What is the position of your movement, right, on the forward march for in this matter?
Thank you. I think Alan Chamatin and the Movement for Change have said that the free SHS, in the manner in which it's being implemented, would need to undergo a very robust review. This review is to ensure financial sustainability. Is to ensure that the conditions within which the education is being given out are good.
Right.
And to further ensure that the content of what they are being given and the means of giving it in terms of issues of curriculum and pedagogy are fixed so that we can attend to quality.
Right.
It is part of all of this that Alan is saying that our education policies must be programmed around building local economies.
Right.
So if you check the Great Transformational Plan, he has it in there. And that is why he talks about industrialization at the local level.
Right.
Very key. So that you don't do... You see, the reason why all of this is happening is because of political contracting. I can assure you that there's a tall list of businessmen who are waiting for President Mahama to become president so that they will now take charge and be the businessman of the day.
I see. And there's none in your
I
movement.
think you should clarify it.
There isn't.
John Mahama has always been pro-business. He supports businessmen.
No, the issue is
because
not,
you see,
it's
we
not about
strongly
being pro or
we strongly
anti-business.
believe that.
It's not about being pro or anti-business.
It's about party.
Government,
It's about
government
partisanship
card
in
bearing
business.
people.
No, government
Yes,
is
and
not
that's
enough.
why government wants to
Government
always
is not enough to
control
create the necessary
business
job.
and be the
so
one
you
giving.
need the private sector to augment.
Must it always be card-bearing people?
But
in this case, there's no evidence of card-bearing members. They are Ghanaians.
Okay.
But you see, the issue is that when all government has to do, provide a regulatory framework and take your hands off business.
Okay.
Let the private sector thrive and do their business.
Thank you,
And
gentlemen.
that is
time is up. I have to go.
Listen,
I beg you.
You brought us into the studio.
I beg you. Our
We
time
know
is up.
you have only 2 minutes.
Our time is up. No, I have to look for money for
30
my
seconds,
station.
But I just want to tell you that one of the things John Mahama wants to do relative to job creation, and every young man listening
No, we are
to
not
me,
talking
is
about
that
job
we are
creation.
doing.
Thank you very much. We're grateful.
I'm saying that Ghana must not introduce free SHS